Hello and welcome to our TypeScript series. Today we will dive into classes, a fundamental building block of object-oriented programming. And in this video, we will cover the essentials of TypeScript classes such as introduction to classes, properties, methods, constructors, access modifiers, and read-only property. Okay, now let's understand about classes. First, we will start with definition. Classes are blueprints for creating objects. They encapsulate properties and methods into a single unit. And classes provide the features of object oriented programming, so it makes our code more usable, maintainable, and scalable. Okay, so these three are the key concepts of classes in TypeScript, such as properties, methods, and constructor. Properties are variables that hold data associated with the class. Methods are functions that belongs to the class or object, and they are used to perform specific actions or operations on an object data. And last is constructor is a special method that initializes an object when it's created. And here you can find the syntax of class. We need to use class keyword to define a class in TypeScript, and class followed by class name and then open and close curly braces, or we can say the body of class. And inside class, we can declare properties and method associated with that class. Also, we can make use of constructor to initialize the object's properties. Next, we will learn about access modifiers. Access modifiers control the visibility and accessibility of class members, and class members are nothing but properties and methods. So there are three main visibility modifiers in TypeScript: private, public, protected. Private only allows access to the class member from within the class. So the members declared as private are only accessible from within the class itself. Next is public. This is a default modifier, allows access to the class member from everywhere, or we can say members declared as public are accessible from everywhere, both inside and outside the class. And third modifier is protected, allows access to the class member from itself and any classes that inherit it. Means members declared as protected are accessible from within the class and its subclasses. And we can use one more property with variable inside class, that is read-only property. It is declared with read-only keyword, and read-only keyword can prevent class members from being changed. Means it cannot be changed or modified after its initial assignment. In TypeScript class, a read-only property is a property that can be set during declaration or in the constructor, and it cannot be modified after object creation. So here you can see that we can use the read-only property when declaring a class level variables, or apply the read-only modifier to a constructor parameter. Okay, so now let's switch to Visual Studio Code and we will explore each of these points with practical examples. So inside Visual Studio Code, let's create new file with name classes.ts. So the TypeScript supports object-oriented programming language, and class is one of the concepts in object-oriented programming. So here, as per the syntax, let's create a new class with name person in TypeScript. Class followed by class name, person, and open and close curly braces, or we can say body of the class. What are the things we can write inside the class? So class is a combination of three key components. First is properties to store data, and second is methods to perform action, and third is constructor to initialize object. Okay, so class is the combination of these three elements like properties, methods, and constructor. So first we will write the properties of person class. Properties means a person has attributes such as first name, last name, age, and many more. In the person class, we define these attributes as properties. using variable declaration like fname of type string, next lname of type string. So here I have declared two properties or variable for the person class. Next, I'd like to add one method. Here, methods are essentially functions that belongs to a class. So when we create function without class, we can simply call as a function. Whereas when we create same function inside the class, then it is called as method. So method is nothing but function. If you create the function inside the class, then it is called as method. And if you create a function outside the class, then it is called as function. That's it. So here I am creating function inside class. That is why I am going to call this function as a method. And the name of method is get full name. And this method will return nothing. So I'll write void, and void is nothing but it doesn't return anything. And then body of the method. And inside body, I am going to print these two variables. So I log these two variables inside console.log. Now, how to access these variables inside this method? If I write here fname, then you can see we are getting error, cannot find fname, because this fname is a class level variable. We have created these two variables inside class, so it is called as class level variables. And how to access class level variable inside method? We can access class level variable inside method with this keyword, this dot fname. Okay, I repeat, if I remove this keyword, now access is no longer available because this variable is created at the class level and we can declare them globally. So these variables cannot access inside method. So to access this variable inside method, I need to use this keyword. So in this case, this keyword is representing the class. So this dot fname means from this person class, I am referring the fname. Okay. So as I said, class is the collection of variables, methods, and if needed, we can add constructor as well. And we will proceed to this constructor in few minutes. So as of now, we have written two variables and one method under this person class. Now, in order to access the variables and methods of any class, we need to create an object of the same class. So unless we create an object for this class, we cannot access the variables and methods of a person class. Okay, so now what is an object? Once we create a class, we can create multiple objects for that particular class. So the object is nothing but an instance of a class. And why do we need to create multiple objects of a same class? Because each person has unique properties and behaviors. Properties are nothing but variables, and we can describe behavior in the form of methods. So for example, person A has a distinct name, age, and behavior, whereas person B has a different name, age, and behavior. So each individual person is having their own properties and behavior or methods. This is the reason we can create multiple objects from the same class. So with the help of object, we can create an instance of the class. So now how to create an object? We can create an object with new keyword. New followed by class name, person, and then parenthesis like this. And after that, we need to assign this object to one variable like var p1 equals to new person. And this variable is called as object reference variable because this variable is referring to this object. And this object we have created for the person class. Okay, so now p1 is our object reference variable. Now with the help of p1, we can access the properties and methods of person class. Because when an object is created, memory is allocated for a new instance. So now through this p1 object, I can access all variables and I can assign values to them. And after that, I can call get full name method through the same object, and I can print the values of variable. Like here, if I type p1 dot, you can see now we are getting access of fname variable, lname variable, and get full name method. Here you can see fname is a property, get full name is a method, and again lname is a property. So now I'll take first fname and I'll assign value to fname is Vibha. Similarly, I'll assign value to lname equals to Patel. And now I'll call the method with same object reference variable, that is p1 dot get full name, and this method will print the values of fname and lname variable. Okay, so here inside console.log I'll add the lname as well, space, and here this dot lname. Okay, so before run this file, I wanted to discuss about class and object. So this class is a logical entity, whereas this object is a physical entity. Class is just a blueprint, and based on this, we can create multiple objects. So we can create any number of objects for one class. Like here, I can create one more object with name P2. So here, once we create a new object, memory is allocated for a new instance. So in this case, for P1 and P2, separate memory is allocated. But these two objects are independent, even though these objects are derived from the same class. Like this P1 object is derived from person class, and P2 object is also derived from person class. But both objects are independent. Okay, I repeat, the class is a logical entity and an object is a physical entity. Class contains variables and methods, and whichever objects are derived from the class, every object will acquire their own copy of variables and methods. For example, for this P1 object, fname is Vibha and lname is Patel, but for this P2 object, properties are same like fname and lname, but the values will be different. So this is the basic concept of class and object in TypeScript. Okay, so I'll comment out this P2 object, and this is how we need to create an object, and through this object we can access the variables and assign values to them, and then we just need to call the method which will print the values of variable. Now let's compile this file to JavaScript and then we will run this file. So I'll open terminal, and here I'll write command tsc-watch. I'll compile this file on watch mode, and now I'll open one more terminal, and here I'll hit command node space classes, enter, and here you can see output Vibha Patel is generated by the get full name method of the P1 object. Okay, in TypeScript we can assign values to variable with three different ways, and this is the first way. We have assigned values through object variable. So here I can write the comment assign values through object variable, and I'll delete this P2 object. Okay, now let's understand the second way. We can also assign the values to the variable by using the method. Okay, so this is first way. Now I'll copy this comment and I'll paste this here. This is the second way, assign values through method. So here I'll create one more function or one more method with parameter. So I'll give name, set full name, and I'll pass two parameter. First name of type string and last name of type string, and then body of the method. And this function is also return nothing. So I'll write void. Void means doesn't return anything. So here we have passed two parameters, and while calling this same method, it will take two arguments. So in order to call this method through object reference variable, we need to pass two arguments. because these two are required parameters. And these two parameters are called as local variable of this method. Okay. So this first name and last name are the local variable for this set full name method, but this f name and l name are the class level variables. So inside this method, what we will do, we will assign the values of local variable to the class level variable. And how we can access the class level variable? With the help of this keyword. This dot f name equals to first name. Similarly, this dot l name equals to last name. Now the values passed through the set full name method will be assigned to the class level variables. And here I have provided the different name to class level variable and local variable for our understanding. But if you want to use same name, then you can. Okay. Now I'll call the same set full name method through object reference variable, that is P1. So here, instead of assigning this value through object, I'll assign the value through set full name method, like P1 dot set full name. And this method accept two arguments, first name and last name. So here I'll pass same name Vibha, comma Patel. Now when we save this file, the set full name method will be called immediately from the person class. And the argument passed to this method will be assigned to the class level variables. And subsequently, using the get full name method, we can display these values on the console. Okay, so here you can see after the set full name method, we have called get full name method as well. Now again, I'll open terminal and rerun this file. You can see we are getting same output Vibha Patel. But this time we have received the values from set full name method. Okay. So we have seen first way of assigning values through object variable. Also we have seen the second way, assign values through method. Now let's understand the third way, that is initialize variable using constructor. So here I'll copy the same comment and I'll paste it after this constructor. And this is third way. Assign values using constructor. And most of the time we use this approach for assigning values to the variable. So how to create constructor? Constructors are similar to methods. I'll cut this constructor and I'll paste this before method. Okay. So here what I'll do, I'll just copy this same set full name method and I'll paste it here. And instead of set full name, I'll just write construct. And I'll comment out this set full name method. And also I'll delete this return type void. That's it. So the constructor can create with constructor keyword, and like method, here also we can pass the parameters which we passed to set full name method. And inside constructor, again we are assigning the values of local variable to the class level variable. Same like set full name method. So what is the difference between method and constructor? Constructor name should be constructor, and constructor doesn't return any value, not even void. And constructor can be defined with or without arguments. So constructors are similar to methods, but with a key difference. Constructors are called automatically when creating a class object, so that we don't need to call the constructor explicitly, whereas methods require explicit calls through the object. Now you can see here we are getting an error, and the error says expected 2 arguments but got 0, because when we create an object, the constructor is called automatically and the constructor expects 2 arguments. However, we haven't provided any during object creation. Therefore, we must pass 2 arguments while creating an object for a person class. So what I'll do, I'll copy these 2 arguments and I'll pass here and I'll comment out this line number 31. Okay. So This is the advantage of constructor if you are comparing with method. We don't need to call constructor explicitly. It will call automatically once you create an object for that class. Now again I'll open terminal and I'll rerun this file and you can see the same output, Vibha Patel. Okay, I'll minimize this file and we have seen the concept of class as per the definition. Like class is a collection of properties, methods and constructor. And also we have seen three different ways to assign the data through object reference variable, through methods and through constructor. Now let's use the read-only property with new variable. So here what I'll do, I'll create one more variable with name age of type number and I'll declare this property as a read-only property. Okay, so the read-only property must be initialized as a part of declaration or in the constructor of the same class. So I can declare the read-only property here while declaring variable, or I can declare the read-only property in the constructor of same class. So here inside constructor also you can pass like this, read-only age equals to number, and here we need to pass this dot age equals to age like this. And when a property is declared as read only, its value cannot be changed once the object is created. So here you can see we are getting an error while creating an object, because now in this case this object is expected 3 arguments but got 2. So here we need to pass the age as well. We are getting Vibha Patil only because we have consoled only F name and L name. So here I'll console the age as well. And now you can see output 20 Vibha and Patel. But since this is a read only property, if I try to reassign the value to age, like here P1 dot age equals to 30, here you can see we are getting an error. Cannot assign to age because it is a read-only property. Here we have mentioned this age to a read-only property. So in this example, the age property is marked as read-only. This means it can only be assigned a value during the object initialization, either in the constructor or directly in the property declaration. It cannot be modified later. It will cause compile time error. Okay, so this is all about read only. Now let's talk on access modifier. So here I'll just remove this read only property and we'll see the example of access modifiers. Okay, so the access modifiers change the visibility of properties and methods of a class. And as I said, TypeScript provides 3 access modifiers: private, public and protected. So first we will see public. So here I'll mark this age property as a public. And what is the definition of public modifier? The public modifier allows class properties and methods to be accessible from all locations. And if we don't specify any access modifier for properties and methods, they will take public modifier by default. So here you can see that if I mark this age property as a public, or if I mark this method as a public and I save the changes, here you can see declaring this method and variable as a public does not alter the behavior. We are not getting any error. It is working as expected. Here I'll rerun this file again and you can see we are getting same output, 20 Vibha Patel. So the use of public modifier is the public methods and properties will be accessible from all locations. Next we'll see the private modifier. And the definition of private modifier is private modifier limits the visibility to the same class only. When we add the private modifier to the property or method, we can access that property or method within the same class. And here you can see that declaring the F name And this get full name method as a private, it prevents access from outside the class, resulting in an error. You can see property get full name is private and only accessible within class person. And here you can see if I try to access the private variable fname, we are getting same error like property fname is a private and only accessible within class person. So we can't access the private variable and methods outside the class. So I'll just remove this private modifier from method. Okay. So now the third modifier is protected modifier. The protected modifier allows properties and methods of the class to be accessible within the same class and subclasses. So we will see an example of protected modifier while learning the concept of inheritance. To accept protected modifier, we have seen public modifier, private modifier. Also, we have seen read-only property. And before that, we have seen about classes and objects. And also, we have seen how to pass the values of class level variables. Okay, so that concludes this video. In the next video, we will explore the concept of inheritance. And if you are new to my channel, consider subscribing to FED Learning for more informative content and stay tuned for upcoming videos. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.